MSNBC contributor. Joining me now is Democratic Congresswoman Barbara Lee of California. She is the chair of the Majority Leader's Task Force on Poverty and Opportunity. Congresswoman, good to see you this morning. Thank you for being with us. I think it's worth understanding that this is an attack on poverty. This is an attack on people of low financial means, of low wealth, because there are still women who in Texas, if they need an abortion, will find a way to get to another state. It's not ideal. It's not what the Constitution says. But for people who cannot afford it, who are beyond 6 weeks pregnant, many of whom will not realize they are pregnant at that point, this is a direct attack on them, very similar to the voting rights attacks we've seen.
Thank you, Ali. Nice to be with you. And first of all, let me just say this. I co-chaired the pro-choice caucus with Congresswoman Diana DeGette. And we've seen this coming for many, many years. But I also remember the days of back alley abortions, and we're not going back. We're not going back. Let me say a couple of things. This is an issue of racial justice. When you look at the fact that low-income women, low-income people, people of color, the LGBTQI community, people in rural districts, young people who don't have money, won't have access to be able to exercise their full range of reproductive health care, including abortions. And that means annual screenings. We're talking about birth control, pregnancy tests, all of the full range of services that people deserve. And so if you don't have money now under the Texas law, and if you can't travel to other states, you're going to be hit once again the hardest. So it's going to be the most vulnerable. The right to an abortion is a human right. It's a basic right that women and people of color have also. And so if they're coming for us now, they're coming for you tomorrow. You
saw this coming, and you and others in Congress have been working toward legislation. We heard Nancy Pelosi talk about this. I spoke to a member of Congress yesterday, one of your colleagues, who has since 2013 been trying to get a bill through Congress to get this done. What, in your opinion, is the likelihood of that happening? A bill passing the House and then somehow passing the Senate that takes abortion out of the realm for the moment of the Supreme Court and Texas and puts it into the realm of federal legislation?
Sure, and the public and the majority of voters really support a woman's right to reproductive freedom. The Women's Health Protection Act, our chair of the Congressional Asia Pacific American Caucus, Congresswoman Judy Chu, has been working on this for many, many years. She is very persistent. She has built over 200 co-sponsors for us to pass this through the House so that we can get it into the Senate. There are about 47 senators now who are co-sponsors of this bill. And so the House must act. And so I'm pleased that our speaker really understands the importance and necessity of this. This is an emergency. And so with the public behind us, I'm confident we can get this done. Let me say once again, the fact that women have the right to control their own lives, their own bodies, make decisions for themselves. This has nothing to do with any other individual interfering in our lives. We have to make sure that this becomes the law, that it also is legislatively put forward through the Women's Health Protection Act so that this can happen. It's critical, and it's an emergency.
And it's unusual in the United States that it's not protected legislatively. Was that a mistake, or should we have done something in 50 years to make it legislative as opposed to depend on this Roe v. Wade, which many people thought was solid and thought was not going to go away? As recently as 4 years ago, there were conservatives saying, come on, Roe v. Wade is established law. It's not going away. Should this have happened earlier?
I believe it should have, but when you have a Congress that will not move, that's trying to turn the clock back, then it becomes a heavy lift. But I think the public now really understands what has been taking place over the years, and that's why passing the Women's Health Protection Act is so important. We have to make this the federal law now because we see what is taking place. Women are going to die as a result of this Texas law. And so we have to pass this. These vigilantes now who can make money, come on, this is the beginning of a new economic ecosystem. Yep. Can you imagine what's going to take place? It's un-American, it's undemocratic, and so we've got to pass this bill, and we've got to do it immediately. We saw this coming. Again, we're prepared, and we're going to move forward, and we're not going to go back.
In what way do you see this getting through the United States Senate? You probably have enough votes for a 50 or 50 plus one, but how do you deal with the filibuster?
Well, it's going to be the people rising up once again and say and demand that we must pass this. I personally support ending the filibuster. As I said, we have about 47 co-sponsors in the Senate, and no one said it's going to be easy. But once again, this is an important issue. It's an important issue to people of color, to communities around the country, where there are people who really are in desperate need for access to abortion care. And so this is a racial justice, it's an economic justice issue. And I believe that we're going to fight hard. Well, I know we're going to fight hard. We have a coalition that has been built over the years. Again, no one said it's going to be easy, but we expect to move forward and to push hard. We know we're going to get this past the House. And I applaud, once again, Congresswoman Judy Chu for staying persistent on this, the pro-choice caucus, as well as Speaker Pelosi for making sure that we were prepared, we're ready, and we're going to continue to fight.
Congresswoman Barbara Lee, good to see you this morning. Thank you for joining us. Barbara Lee is a congresswoman from California. Still to come, 1/3 of America